Another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, I want to share with you Bryan Kohberger. If you remember last week, I shared with you how they sealed the search warrant, and it wasn't going to be a number of months till it was probably at least a couple months, right? March was the time frame. Well, now it has been unsealed as of today. So let's go ahead and dive in to share with you what is this evidence that they have that we didn't know before today. Because my friends, it is a doozy. And here, let's get into it. Unsealed court documents that were unsealed today, they reveal quite a bit of evidence against Bryan Kohberger. You see, these court documents, they reveal that police were investigating him last month, and they discovered a pillow covered in blood in his apartment in Pullman, Washington, which was less than 10 miles from the crime scene. Authorities, they were all over his campus apartment just a few miles from the crime scene, and they raided it for evidence after his arrest on December 30th. A new search warrant made public on January 17th shows that police found several hair strands, including one suspected animal hair, a black glove, a computer tower, and one unnamed item with a collection of dark red spots. What do you suppose those dark red spots are? They also hauled away a pillow with a reddish brown stain on it and the top and bottom of a mattress cover with multiple stains. That's what they had in his apartment that they recovered as evidence when they were tying him to the crime scene. So, my friends, this is not looking good for him at all. You see, those investigators who raided the property back in December also picked up receipts from Walmart and two Marshall's receipts, as well as collecting the contents of his vacuum cleaner. Because obviously he was cleaning up a lot of what he is alleged to have done. And so authorities, they initially sealed the search warrant for the murder suspect's Washington home. And they also raided his apartment. And they were arguing that releasing the details could prematurely end the investigation. After looking at this thing, there was like 48 pages. This also included the original 19 pages that were released as to the arrest affidavit behind this. But now these documents are now unsealed with the approval of Whitman County Prosecutor Dennis Tracy, who filed the motion on January 17th, which was just yesterday. And so court documents show that 8 strands of hair were recovered from the apartment, as well as possible animal hair. Whose animal hair could that possibly be? If you've been following this story, you know that could possibly be tied to Murphy. If they tie this animal hair to Murphy back to his apartment, there are no answers for that other than you literally did this. They also recovered a Fire TV stick. You know, the Fire Stick, like Hulu, one of those things, Google, whatever it was, that plugged into your TV to give you access to Amazon Fire, right? Amazon shows and Prime and all that stuff. And so all the items are now being stored at the Washington State University Police Department. I find this extremely close to saying, Bryan, you definitely did this. But again, he has to get his day in court. Authorities reportedly said that they wanted to see if there was any hair that had been transferred onto Kohberger and then back to his apartment, including that of Kaylee's dog, Murphy. And you can see here where part of this affidavit, the King, or should I say the search warrant, the King Road residence contained a significant amount of BLOOD from the victims, including spatter and cast off, bloodstain patterns resulting from blood drops released from an object due to its motion. That does not look good for him, which, based on this investigator's training, makes it likely that this evidence was transferred to Kohberger's person, clothing, or shoes. And based on the locations of the student of the suspect vehicle and his 8458 phone immediately following this incident, it is probable that Kohberger went to his residence at the on-campus apartment at G201. At that time, it is likely that he still had OOD on it, or other trace evidence on his person, clothes, shoes, including skin cells or hair from the victims or from Gonsalves' dog, which is Murphy. It continues, it is likely that some trace evidence was transferred to areas in his apartment through contact with the items worn during the attack. One likely location for the clothes, mask, shoes that he was wearing during the attack would be his residence. This is why they wanted to get the search warrant. While I believe Kohberger is visiting family in Pennsylvania, did you hear that? While Kohberger was visiting family. And this is when they were trying to get all the search warrant, right? The arrest warrant, the search warrant for his apartment, a search warrant for his office. And they searched, it is said that they did not find anything at the office. And so you can see that while Kohberger is visiting family in Pennsylvania over the current school break at WSU, I believe he intends to return for the start of the next semester, which would be spring semester. So this investigator expects that his belongings to still be in his residence at the on-campus apartment at Washington State University. To date, we have not recovered the weapon used in the homicides, which would indicate that he took it with him from the scene. Based on my training, that weapon will likely contain trace evidence on it, such as blood or skin or hair from the crime scene. One likely location for the weapon or any sheath for the weapon would be his residence. This is what they found at the residence, which again does not look good for him. And I already told you some of this stuff that they pulled. But as I've shared before, Murphy, the dog, he was found alive in Kaylee's room by investigators who were called to the scene and has now been returned to her ex-boyfriend, Jack. The application also stated that the home where the students had a significant amount of BLOOD from the victims, including spatter and cast off. That is beyond comprehension, the things that a person could do. And so investigators believe that it was likely that the perp would have this on his body or clothing and hope to find trace evidence in his apartment. However, they did not describe the results of any of the testing in the documents and did not confirm if any hairs found matched the victims or Kaylee's dog. I'm sure we will later find out about that. And so his offices at the Washington State University, again, the search warrant was approved to search the office, but nothing was found by officers who did the searching. Initially, the court ruled that this search warrant would be sealed until March 1st, claiming that if it were made public, there would be a threat to public safety. But again, looking through this, I'm not sure how I'm seeing the threat to public safety. And so he did appear in court last week, but has yet to enter a plea for this incident. Authorities released a probable cause affidavit against Kohberger, which was also in this full warrant just before his first hearing in Moscow, Idaho on January 5th. It reveals how Kohberger turned his phone off on the night of the incident in an alleged attempt to cover his tracks before the incident. And this whole application, you can see, like, there was 49 pages. Motion in order to unseal the warrant. And you can see where, and as I was sharing on some of the evidence here, let's go through some of that. One Walmart receipt with one Dickies tag. Again, clothing for the day after. I don't know, right? 2 Marshall's receipts. Dust container from Bissell Power Force vacuum. 8 possible hair strands. 1 Fire TV stick with cord and plug that they seized. 1 possible animal hair strand. Again, possible. 1 possible hair. 1 possible hair. 1 possible hair. They have multiple possible hair strands. 1 computer tower. What would be the purpose of that computer tower? Did he do some research? Was he storing his images there? Because he was stalking, it is alleged, right? And so what else could be on there? Some of his search terms? They had a collection of dark red spot that, again, collected without testing. 2 cut-ins from uncased pillow of reddish brown stain, larger stain tested. 2 top and bottom of mattress covers packaged separately, both labeled C multiple stains. 1 was tested. So there's a good chance that they got something out of that, right? As we are finding out. And so they had the motion in order for original search warrant and search warrant application. That's when it was to remain sealed, but a redacted version be provided for public release. And you can see this was filed January 17th. You had the motion, you had the basis. I'm not going through all of this. And, you know, the approval. And so you had the redacted search warrant. And it shares you are commanded to search within 10 days of this date the premises described as follows. Apartment located, which is his apartment, 1630 Northeast Valley Road, apartment G201. And of course, a lot of people have shared, right? And sees if located anything with BLO do, anything out there, knife sheaths, anything out there, right? They were basically saying get anything that can tie him to 1122 King Road house. They shared about the 2 roommates, Bethany and Dylan, and all of that. That's the search warrant part. We've gone down that road multiple times. And so this person believed that there was probable cause that Bryan Kohberger had committed this crime of first degree, and including burglary as well, and that evidence of those crimes exist. And so weapons or other things by means of which a crime has been committed or reasonably appears about to be committed. And, you know, maybe getting rid of any more evidence. And so this whole thing shares multiple sides, including Sergeant Baker, I think is, or Blaker or something like that. And again, you have to be careful because this was the application for search warrant when they were trying to get the search warrant. And I shared some of the main parts of that. Supplemental disclosure re-DNA test. I have been informed by Detective J.R. Talbot of the Idaho State Police that, and then boom, the sheath was recovered at the crime scene. And then on December 27th, law enforcement officers in Pennsylvania recovered trash that originated from the Kohberger family residence. That trash was sent to the Idaho Crime Lab for testing, and then on December 28th, the Idaho State Lab reported that a DNA profile was obtained from the trash. It was compared to the suspect DNA profile. The lab personnel concluded that the source of the trash DNA was a male and was not being excluded as the biological father of the source of the suspect profile. This continues in the statement of Dustin Blaker. That is his version of this event. And so I think that it is key that you understand a lot of this. And so you could find this online with a quick Google search. Given Dylan's point, this is the whole thing on it. I'm going to speed down through some of this. I went through the whole thing with you guys if you've been following this channel. If not, I'm sure you've gotten it from elsewhere. And so based on all of this information, I am seeking a search warrant for Kohberger residents to search for. And that's when they find all of that. And so we continue down the road of figuring all of this out, right? And so over time, there will be more. We will continue to find out more. My friends, thank you for joining me today. This has been another episode of Deep True Crime. Until next time, be safe out there, my friends.